Welcome to Pack Talk Podcast, episode 145. Today we're going to be talking about the 3-3-3 rule for dog training. This applies to rescue dogs or just a rehoming situation or any dog that you're bringing home. It's essentially a way of how you're going to bring your dog home and get them used to your house and your family and your other pets. So if you've ever adopted a rescue dog and you felt completely overwhelmed for the first few days, the 3-3-3 rule is something that you need to understand. It's not just about shelter dogs. It applies to any dog entering a new environment. So we're going to cover what the 3-3-3 rule actually means, what you should expect in each phase of the 3-3-3 rule, how to set up your dog for success, and common mistakes that you should try to avoid. Now, if you can understand this framework, it will remove the guesswork and panic from transitioning a dog from one place to another, whether that's from an adoption, a rehoming, even just getting a puppy. So what this rule represents, 3-3-3 stands for 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. And the reason why this matters is because this gives the dog time to desensitize, right? Reduce their stress level, reduce their stress response, and adjust to their new environment, their new family, the other dogs, the other people that are around. Now, just understand the 3-3-3 rule is a guideline. It's not a rigid framework that you have to adhere to, but it does give you some good ideas as far as what you should be thinking about, things to be considering. Also understand some dogs will adjust faster. They might not need 3 months of adjustment, right? They might adjust faster. Some dogs might need more time. So if you get to the 3-month part of the rule and you still need more time, you keep giving your dog time following the principles of the rule. So the number one misconception that most people have when they get a shelter dog, though, is that the dog they think they met at the shelter is the dog that they're actually getting, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right,
JC? And JC has some personal experience with this as well, right? And helping people train their shelter dogs. And we deal with a lot of rescue dogs, and it's something that we commonly get brought up to us. They weren't like this when I picked him up, right? It takes time for that dog to settle in, settle down, and kind of show its true colors. That doesn't mean it's a bad dog or anything, but that just means we're going to have to do some training, right? And make sure that dog's squared away off on the right foot.
For sure.
You got any stories you want to share?
Well, even like with my dog, I got her, right? She had to be dog friendly because at the time I lived with my ex, his mom had dogs and picked her up. They dog tested her. She was great with the dog, right? Comes back, settles in, gets into like that 3-week phase. We're probably like 2 weeks in, starts lunging at dogs, starts chasing dogs. She snapped leashes to get at dogs. I'm like, oh boy. So she was not the dog originally. She was still super sweet towards people, still had that good temperament as far as people go, but the dog aspect, once she started getting comfortable, that started popping out. So
you said that was like 2 to 3 weeks in?
Yep.
Yeah. That's about normal, right? When you start seeing some things.
You start seeing those behaviors start popping out.
Catch you a little bit by surprise.
Yep.
So first, let's talk about some common mistakes that a lot of people make. Mistake number one, this is whenever they're bringing a dog home, right? Whether it's a rescue dog, a shelter dog, or just rehoming a dog. But mistake number one would be they overwhelm the dog with too much too soon. That could be they're having a party, right? Have you ever seen those people? They're adopting a dog. Everyone come over.
Everyone come meet the dog.
Yep,
and all,
say hi to my dog, right? That's just going to overwhelm the dog. Right?
Stressing them out.
Exactly.
They're hiding.
Or they have their friends with their friends' dogs come over on the first day or the second day. Now we have a ton of dogs, a ton of people. We don't really even know this dog that we just adopted or brought home. So that can be overwhelming, right? Or they're like, I want to be hardcore about socialization. So they start taking the dog out like crazy.
Start taking them to dog parks and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Dog parks, like loud places. The dog's not ready for that. The dog's not used to that. They take him to the dog park. They let him off leash. They don't even know the dog. The dog doesn't even know them. And then they have to chase the dog around to get it back. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe they're like hardcore. They're like, I want to do training now. So they start doing some hardcore training stuff. And that just overwhelms the dog too. So the number one mistake is overwhelming the dog with too much too soon, right? Mistake number two is inconsistent rules and boundaries, right? So let's say it's a couple, right? And they adopt a dog. One person has one idea of how they're going to, have this dog, raise the dog, whatever. Someone else has a different idea, right? So they're not on the same page. and they're doing things that are inconsistent with the other one. So that's going to, create some frustration, create some anxieties in the dog and in the owners.
You see that a lot, even in people just not adopting dogs.
Right.
Like people can't agree on the same thing and how the dog's rules and boundaries are going to be.
Exactly. So yeah, it doesn't just apply to what we're talking about today. It applies across the board, right? Mistake number 3, comparing the new dog to other dogs or expecting immediate perfection, right? So, if it's someone that's had dogs before and they're like, they lost their dog, so now they want a new dog, even if the new dog looks like their old dog. They look just like so-and-so, right? And then they act completely different. I don't understand why this dog is doing this. My old dog never did this.
Yep. And they're a completely different dog. They
Exactly.
don't register. It's 2 different personalities.
Exactly. Another mistake that people make is giving up during the challenging middle weeks. Like, let's say you would have got your dog, week 2, week 3, you start seeing this dog aggression or dog reactivity come out, and you give up.
Yep.
Right? Either you give the dog back, which is not cool, right?
That's super common, too. Like,
Very
a lot
common.
of people see these undesirable behaviors, and instead of trying to adjust to it and, address it, they're like, oh, this bad dog, got to send it back.
Exactly. Not cool. If you adopt that dog, that's your dog.
You make a commitment.
Exactly. Another mistake I see people make is that they just skip training completely. Like, oh, we'll just let them get used to it. They just need more love. They need more love. They need
humanizing their dogs when they first come home. They're traumatized and all this stuff, and letting them just reinforce undesirable behaviors. And
Yep. So even more of a case to get into training. You can ease into it, but you do want to have training on the mind, which we'll talk about today. Another mistake, they ignore warning signs of stress or the dog getting overwhelmed. So they don't know dog body language, right? They think that when the dog's wagging its tail and the tail's low, that the dog's happy and wants a hug.
Yep.
Right? And then they go in for the hug, and then the dog bites them.
Ow.
Exactly. So you need to understand dog body language, understand dog language, and understand when they're, communicating to you in a way that dogs communicate, and know what to do in those situations, right?
Yep.
If the dog's stressed, especially when they're first getting there, you want to try and alleviate that stress, right? Don't continue to overwhelm them or anything.
Don't keep pushing them.
Exactly. Then the final major mistake we see a lot of people make is that they just don't seek help when the behavioral issues start arising. They let it go. They let it keep going, more problems. And then later, when it's a real bad problem, then they're seeking help, right? Which is fine. You can still get help, but you could have saved yourself a lot of time, a lot of work if you wouldn't have let those behaviors get reinforced for those periods of time, So those are some of the biggest mistakes, but let's go ahead and jump right into the 3-3-3 rule, and we'll start off with the first 3, which is the first 3 days. This is the decompression phase, right? So when you first bring a dog to your house, they are a little bit stressed, right? Because they're coming to a new environment. They don't know you. They don't know the environment. They're used to the shelter or wherever they've been at, maybe a foster home. So obviously they have some stress going on. They could have some survival instincts kicking in, which is to suppress, their real personality, suppress how they really act, right? They could be under sensory overload, just depending on the situation. Yep. And so what are some things you would do, JC, for the first 3 days with the dog to help it ease into your new home?
I mean, you want to try to have a good routine, right? You want to start initially teaching it a good routine. So potties in the morning, breakfast at the same time, probably wouldn't even be doing really a lot of walks, right? You're just getting used to them bonding with you. So you might just hang out with them, but we're not putting any pressure or anything on them as far as expectations, training, things like that. We want structure, but I'm not going to go hardcore into training. Now, if they start opening up in those first few days, I might maybe start some engagement, getting them want to work with me, things like that, but not really pushing the aspect of meeting people, going out, doing these things, just being nice, relaxed, giving them that decompression phase that they need while allowing them to adjust into our environment.
Right, for sure. Yeah, the routine is going to be the biggest thing, obviously.
Yep.
Get them used to where their crate is in your house.
Yep.
Get them used to kind of the layout of the house, how you kind of operate day in and day out. Get them used to where they're going potty, like you said. Get them used to if they have a hangout in the area in the house, like a little dog bed somewhere, show them where that is, right? If you're going to let them play with toys in the house, show them where those are. But I would hold off on those for a couple days, honestly. Just let them slowly get used to your routine. You know, be calm, be predictable, so the dog gets the feeling of the ritual of the house, right? You don't want to do forced interactions, right? With yourself even. Don't force yourself upon the dog, right? But like we said earlier, don't have like a party and have a bunch of people over, right? Be careful with your other pets, right? If you have other pets,
slowly integrate them.
Exactly. Slow integration, slowly getting them used to places. You know, don't worry about training too much at the beginning. Your first step would be engagement, like you said, but just ease into it. Focus on the routine. Let them get used to the new environment, the new situation, and then you can proceed from there, right? So that's about the first 3 days of just doing routines, you know, having a set feeding time, showing them where they're going potty, showing them where they're going to the kennel, taking a couple walks with them, right? Not forcing interactions, being calm, being predictable, right? Once that's moving forward into the next 3, the 3-3-3 rule, right? The second 3 is the first 3 weeks. This is where the dog is really starting to settle in, and you're going to really start seeing their true personality. Like you said earlier, it was like 2 to 3 weeks for you with your dog. But what are some things that you would be looking at in the first 3 weeks?
I mean, the first 3 weeks, I'm going to start to try and assess, you know, temperament things, because that real personality is coming out, right? So like, you know, am I seeing any fixation on behaviors like that? For me personally was something I wasn't aware of, so I wasn't paying attention to it. We're getting out, we're starting to do some walks. I noticed fixation on dogs. I'm not correcting that behavior, right? Or readdressing it, like redirecting her on anything. So now it's that frustration's building up, right? So now then when this explosion comes in my head, this came out of nowhere. Now that I look back at it, when I know the language, I'm like, this didn't come out of nowhere. So like building engagement, like we said, this might be where I might start, you know, introducing basic commands, right? Like especially if they're starting to, you know, come out of their shell, get more comfortable, right? Say, you know, they're engaging with you, things like that. You can start introducing like a crate command, right? Because crate training for any dog at any age is super, super important. A lot of people are like 50-50 on that, especially with shelter dogs, because they're like, they spent their whole life in a kennel.
Right.
That's just what the shelter tells you. Having a crate is a very good space for a dog, gives them somewhere to go, be calm, decompress, things like that. So I might start crate training. You know, if you have any potty issues, you know, work the potty issues, but having a good schedule and routine from day one is going to help address that as well.
Right.
I mean, just really the schedule, teaching maybe some leash pressure, some like management, so that they're not constantly pulling on this leash, things like that. But engagement stuff's going to help with that too.
Yeah, I would definitely start training now that we're in the first 3 weeks, right?
Yep.
First couple days, you're just kind of getting used to the routine, the schedule. But now I really want to think about training to help you ease into my home and our environment and us get on the same page even more. So like you said, engagement, right? I want to start focusing on that. I'm going to start focusing on like basic training stuff, which would, after engagement, would start being some leash training, right? So teaching you how to follow a leash, not fight a leash, move with the leash, not against the leash, how to walk with me, because the walk is the bonding process, and we're doing exercise. So I'm going to start working on walking, and then I'll focus on like some come commands, right? Some place commands, some downstay commands, you know, basic things. And after about 3 weeks, there should be a relatively good foundation of these things going on.
As long as you're consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to stay
You got to be
consistent.
consistent. I would also be thinking about like my schedule and my supervision continuing forward, right? So I want to make sure that I'm getting them used to crate time. So they're going to be in the crate at nighttime when I'm not home. I might do short crate sessions throughout the day to help them get more comfortable with that, right, as time is going on. And then if I am finding behaviors that are undesirable, that they're trying to perform or leaning towards performing, I'm going to try and counter condition those and desensitize those so the dog is not doing things that are going to work against me in the future, right? I wouldn't really be worried about socialization yet too crazily. I'm more focused on getting my foundation done at the house, getting the dog even further into the routine of the house, getting them into the training stuff, right? Engagement, leash training, come command, downstay command, place command would be my priorities, right? And making sure they're really comfortable with my daily routines and walking through my apartment complex or my neighborhood, wherever I live, so that I'm seeing how they're performing just in our normal environment, right? once that's kind of, we're at the tail end of the 3 weeks, now we're focused on the third 3 of the 3-3-3 rule, which is the first 3 months. This is where you're going to really get to know that dog, right? So within the first 3 months, your routine should be established. You should have a relatively, I wouldn't say relatively, you should have a significant bond with the dog, especially if you're being consistent with your engagement and your training. The dog should know or be getting to know your rules, boundaries, expectations of the home, and doing a good job doing that. So as we finished up the first 3 weeks, now we're going to be progressing and building upon that, right?
Yep.
So let's say I find that there's a specific behavioral challenge, like it's a hard thing to do to walk around kids in the apartment complex, right? I'm going to focus on engagement around kids, or desensitizing the dog to the presence of kids if it's something that made the dog nervous, right? It could be other dogs, whatever, right? But if I find certain triggers or certain things that make the dog uncomfortable, I'm going to work on that with the dog more focused in the first 3 months than I was the first 3 weeks, right? You might find that some things are surfacing that you weren't expecting, like separation anxiety.
Super common, especially with the shelter dogs.
Right, exactly. So if you see that happening, you got to take action immediately, right? We have podcasts, we have blogs, we have YouTube videos on separation anxiety in particular. But just know if you see that surfacing, you got to take action immediately. Don't let it progress. Right?
Well, and that's something you can help address too during that crate training phase. A lot of people only want to do it, when they're not there or not at all. But if you start integrating crate time throughout the day while you're home, like I tell a lot of clients with dogs with separation anxiety, do 20, 30 minutes at a time with your dog in the crate.
Right.
You're still home, but you're teaching them to be healthy separation, right? That place command or that spot command is going to be super beneficial for that too, right? Your dog doesn't have to be next to you 24/7.
Right, exactly. Healthy separation, exactly, right? Also, a big thing that comes up, impulse control problems, So making sure that dog's good at a downstay, making sure that dog's good at a place command, making sure that you're actually working on the impulse control so it doesn't spiral out of control. You see what I'm saying? As time's going on. And within these first 3 months, you'll really know if there's some things popping up that you're not familiar with or you don't know how to handle and you're having a hard time handling on your own. This might be the time that you need to seek some professional guidance, whether that's like a consultation with a trainer, a discovery phone call with a trainer, or maybe working with a trainer to try and overcome whatever it is that you're having difficulty with or struggling with, right? But there are some things you want to focus on throughout this entire process. One of them is going to be building trust.
Yep.
JC, what are some of the top ways that we can build trust with our dog?
I mean, resources, right? Food. You're the one feeding them, walking with your dog, big bonding experience, right? You can kind of work them through some confidence building things together, right? Learning and training in itself is going to build trust. If they can trust your guidance, you're just going to have a stronger bond in general. I mean, doing lots of good repetitions and things like that with them. But I mean, walks are going to be a main one for sure, as well as the engagement building.
For sure. And trust is a two-way street, right? Like the dog has to learn to trust you.
You got to learn to trust your dog.
Exactly. So don't let your dog just hang out with kids, until you really know that dog and really trust that dog.
Well, and advocating too. A lot of people are scared to advocate for your dog. Like if you learn the body language of a dog before you get one. Pay attention to the body language your dog, especially new dogs, are showing. Advocate for them. You see they're uncomfortable. Don't keep forcing those interactions. I mean, like a lot of people will be like, oh, they're great with kids. The whole time their dog is stressed out. They're freaking out. They're slowly eating away at their own trust between them and their dog, and they have no idea. Exactly.
So take your time, be predictable, focus on your training foundations, right? And only do further trust building exercises, as time goes on, based on how you and your dog are doing together, right? So like walking them as a trust building exercise, right? It's a bonding experience. Walking them through a new area is another trust building exercise, right? But you can walk through a new area and not have them get interacted with by everybody that's there or other dogs that are there until the trust is at that level and you understand your dog's boundaries, right? If your dog is not going to appreciate other people approaching it or other dogs approaching it, that might not be something that you do. Right?
For sure.
So just take that into account. I would, as you're going through the 3-3-3 rule as well, continue adjusting your routines to that's going to be most beneficial to you, right? So the way that you feed your dog, the way you walk your dog, right? You might do a little bit different during the week than you will on the weekend, but most people are relatively consistent with their routines. During their work days, they have a certain routine. Then when they're off of work, they have like a slightly different routine. But you want to be consistent with that, right? If you travel with your dog, maybe you have like a somewhat of a traveling routine, right? Maybe you sleep in, you walk your dog, you eat breakfast, you go out and do stuff, right? But being as consistent as possible with your routines just continues to help your dog be calm and be consistent with your rules, boundaries, expectations, no matter what you're doing, no matter what's going on, right?
Yep, for sure.
So all good things. Just remember that the 3-3-3 rule is a framework. It's not a guarantee. Your dog may need more time. If you're doing the 3-3-3 rule, your dog may need less time, right? It's just going to depend on you, your dog, right? But the main thing is you don't want to rush this, right? The 3-3-3 rule is a good foundational method to desensitize your dog to coming into a new place or going to a new place. There's a lot of foster-based rescues these days, so some dogs go from one foster home to another foster home to another foster home.
They're just jumping around.
Right, so if every foster home can implement the 3-3-3 rule at their new home, that helps that dog ease into that new environment with those new people, versus we bring the dog to a new environment. Now it's chaotic, now it's unstructured. There's a lot of different things going on. It's not consistent, and the dog struggles, right? And then the dog develops bad behaviors, right, because of the change in environment and whatever's going on. So whether you're a foster or you're adopting a dog, the 3-3-3 rule is a good foundational groundwork for you. Another thing is just to remember, don't judge your dog's true personality until you're inside of this 3-3-3 rule, right? So if you're you just get a dog, you just bring it home, that's not your dog's true personality. Nope. You don't know this dog doesn't know you. It's a little bit suppressed. You got to take time and make sure that you go through the steps to learn your dog's real personality, right? And as you're going through that, your engagement's going to help you. Your leash training is going to help you. Your obedience training is going to help you get there. But, that trust, you're kind of holding that trust back, right? There's a lot of people, they get a new dog, they start trusting it with everything immediately. Yep. That's not the way to operate, right? Trust has to be earned, right? From you and from your dog. Your dog is not trusting you immediately.
Even
I'll tell
if
you
you
that.
trust them immediately,
Exactly.
They don't trust, and that can honestly hinder. You're letting them make all these bad decisions, letting them do all of these things. They might not trust your leadership after that, right? Like you're going to have 10 times more work to do. And
that can build anxiety too. If you're just letting them do whatever and they're just all over the place, that could develop really bad anxiety, right? So I know that this process might seem like a slow process, and it's designed to be that way because we just want to have a systematic development of introducing to our home, our lifestyle, our routines, and getting to know each other, right? Don't forget, if you need help, you should reach out for help. There's a lot of dog trainers out there, including us, that do a lot of support over the phone. We do a lot of support with in-home consultations for people that are close to us through virtual consultations. But the main thing is, if there's something going on that you're not familiar with, sure, you could Google it, try to figure it out, and work on it. But if you're stumped, you need to reach out for help before you start having a bunch of behavioral problems and just digging yourself a deeper hole, right?
For sure.
So every rescue dog deserves time to decompress and reveal who they really are. And don't forget, if you get a rescue dog, you shouldn't be giving that dog back.
Nope, you
right?
made a commitment.
Exactly. I know JC has a dog that caused trouble for a while. I have a dog, not a rescue dog, that caused trouble for a while. It would have been super easy to say, I'm not dealing with this, put the dog in a shelter, send the dog back to wherever. And that could have ended that dog's life.
Well, and I feel like a lot of people don't prepare themselves for the time it's going to take to get a dog.
Right.
Most dogs do not do well just sitting home doing nothing. Like,
right.
You have to put that time in, especially when you start seeing behavioral issues come up. So, that's always something to consider. Do you genuinely have the time for a dog before you get one? Exactly.
Good point. So if you guys do need help, you can reach out to us, Canine Revolution Dog Training. We do board and train programs where we'll train your dog and your family. We do private lessons where we'll train you and your dog at the same time, and virtual lessons. Those are mainly focused on training you to train your dog, and those are also good for people that just aren't close to us but need advice, need coaching through their dog training process, you can reach out to us at the link below or the link in the description. If you want to get a Canine Revolution shirt, you want to get a Canine Revolution hoodie, a mug, a Good to Go shirt, go to Canine Revolution Apparel on Amazon or the link below in the description, and you can grab one of those. Don't forget, we have by the time this podcast comes out, it might be live, but we do have the Ultimate Leash Training Manual coming out soon. It's our first book, so if you want to learn how to help your dog be a well-behaved dog, you get that book. You follow the illustrations, that are in the book that show you what to do. You scan the QR code so you can watch the video on how to do X, how to do Y, right? But that is coming out soon. If it's not out already by the time this podcast is coming out, it will be on Amazon. And when it is live, it will be in the podcast descriptions as well. But if you need to relieve some stress because your dog's stressing you out, you can get the I Love Dogs coloring book at the link in the description below. That's on Amazon too. And do some coloring, right? Especially if you have kids. If you need to train your dog, but you have kids.
Keep the kids busy.
Exactly.
Get
You give them the coloring book. They can color while you're training, right? Don't forget, if you want the optimal diet for your dog, it's going to be a raw diet. You can go to wefeedraw.com. Use the new discount code Canine Revolution 50. That's Canine spelt out, Revolution spelt out, 5050. That's going to give you 50% off your first box. You can cancel a box at any time, but if you can't do 100% raw, I recommend at least doing a raw topper, because you will see a difference in your dogs. Like, you'll see a difference in their coat, right? The way they're operating, right? Overall health is just going to improve with a little bit of raw at a time. So definitely check out We Feed Raw. Also a link in the description below. If you're looking for dog supplements, we're partnered with Canine Super Supplements. You can go to the link below. They've got the weight gainer formula. They've got the multivitamin formula. They've got the joint support formula, the puppy formula. Those are their main 4 formulas. You can go to their website, caninesupersupplements.com. Check those out, right? Just add them straight to your dog's food, whether it's kibble or raw food, or you can add it to their water. But if you use the discount code Canine Revolution spelt out, all caps, no spaces, you can get 15% off of those supplements. And then if you're looking for the best dog toys, you can check out Monster Canine Toys on Amazon and the website. All links in the description below. But they do have a guarantee that if your dog destroys their toy, they will replace it. And I don't think you'll find a better guarantee anywhere, right? And I've hear a bunch of people with rescue dogs, this dog chews through everything, right? Yep. Yeah, so if you have that situation going on, check out Monster Canine Toys. See if your dog can get through that toy, right?
If they can, they'll replace it.
Exactly. So you're good to go. If you need supplements for yourself, creatine, fish oil, milk, protein powder, JockoFuel.com is where you should go for that. You got the discount code Canine Revolution, all caps, no spaces. That gets you 10% off of Jocko Fuel. But I would at least check out the milk protein powder.
Good.
The creatine. Are you on the creatine?
Yeah, but not Jocko's.
Oh, okay. But you're on creatine.
I am on creatine.
Yeah, all right. Well, you need to get on the Jocko.
I know. I need to. I couldn't find it in the store, and I didn't want to put an order in online. It's in the things to do.
You get the creatine, you get the freaking milk, you get the fish oil, and the energy drinks. Those are the top 4. That's my top 4 right there. Top 4 stack, right? All right, don't forget, leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and let us know in the comments on YouTube or your favorite social media platform what type of information you need to hear in a future podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and until next time, this is Pack Talk Podcast. Out.